Hello everyone, this is Suresh from Azure ADB. Today our topic is how to replace datetime object in Python. So the replace method in Python's datetime module allows you to create a new time object from existing datetime object with specific attributes modified while keeping the rest unchanged. So that means datetime object will be having values of date values, and time values. So in that specific values, maybe date values and time values are any few of the attributes of datetime values we can modify. So next, this is useful for adjusting parts of datetime, such as changing the time, date, or time zone without affecting other components. So replace is immutable. It returns new object and that does not modify the original. So this is mainly useful for partial updates of date time. Suppose partial means so date and time. So date means year, month, date, and time means hour, minute, second, and milliseconds. So in that, any few attributes, maybe only date or only microsecond. So that we can update. So that is partial update. And it does not automatically convert time zones. It only sets TZ info. So that means if you apply any time zone information, so it will update only time zone info. So that means it won't update time values. So what is the main purpose of replace option in datetime objects? So one is modify specific parts of datetime. Suppose, as I told earlier, suppose in case of date, suppose I want to change only year and month or time. So while keeping other values intact. So that means I want to change only year and month. So remaining values I don't want to change. So next set or change time zone. So that means assign a time zone to a naive datetime object. Suppose changing one time zone to other time zone. So next is normalizing the time zone. So that means so existing time zone we can change it to midnight date only operation. So next we can use standardizing the datetime format. So all these scenarios we'll see further. So our replace syntax is this one replace, and inside that we can mention tz info equal to zone info, and inside that we can pass time zone value. So what it does is it assigns a time zone without changing time. So there are other options to change the time zone. As time zone also we can use, but what is the difference between replace and as time zone is as a time zone, it converts time to another time zone correctly. So that means suppose I want to change time zone from UTC to America, New York, then if you use as time zone, it will update time zone. Parallelly, it will alter the time also according to new time zone. But in case of replace, it won't alter time. And strf time. So that means formatting the timestamp in this particular format. So this is the difference between these three functions. So first we'll see how to use replace option on changing date. So date means mainly will come year, month, and day. So what I'll do is first I'm trying to change specific date components. So I'm importing date time function, I'm importing from date, and I'm importing date. So first what I'm doing, I'm using here date and I'm passing here only date values like year, month, and day. So then what I'm doing, suppose I'll print this one, uh, print D. So first it will print you that value, that is 2002 12/31. So this is our date. Now on top of that, I'm using replace. So from this, what I'm replacing is day I'm replacing with 26. So currently what is a day is there? 31. So I am replacing 31 to 26. So that means changing value, changing day from 31 to 26. So next, changing specific date components. So here I'm trying to change only date and that particular day only. So here I'm creating both date and time. So up to here, this is date and this is time. So if I try to print this one, so this one, first one is date and this 12/30/45 is time. So next what I'm doing, I'm replacing the year. So on this particular date, I'm doing replace and I'm replacing the year. So if I print this one, initially what is the year? 24. Initially 24 and I'm replacing with 2025. Next what I'm doing, I'm replacing the month and day. On top of this date, DT, I'm replacing month and day. So initially, what is the month? Month is 6 and 22, 3 and 22. So that 3 and 22 is replaced with 6 and 15. Okay. So next, what I'm doing, I'm changing specific date components. So that means, so this is same. I'm creating date time object, date and time. So here I'm trying to replace all the values, all the date values. So year, month, and day. So if I try to print this one, so my initial date is this one 22/5/15, and here I'm trying to change year, month, and day. So my initial year is 22. I am replacing with 23, that is 23, and my initial month is 5, and I'm replacing with 8, and my initial day is 15, and I'm replacing with 20. Okay, so next what we'll see about how to change time. So time means what will come? Hour, minute, second, and microsecond. So hour and microsecond. So first what I'm doing is in this, first I'm changing only time. So that means this is my date time object. So here I have date and time. That is this one, 24/3/22, 12/30/45. So here what I'm doing, changing only hour and minute. So total what we have, so here we have hour, minute, and second. So among these, I'm changing only hour and minute. So initially we have 12 and 30, that is 12 and 30. I'm changing to 80. So 80. So next what I'm doing, so similar datetime object I took. So here what I'm doing is I'm changing all parameters. All means hour, minute, second. So here I replaced only hour and minute. So here I'm changing hour, minute, and second. So initially, what is the hour? 12. So this 12 changing to 18, and this 30 minute changing to 45, and this 0 second changing to 30 second. Okay, so next adjusting, adding microseconds. So same datetime object. So here what I'm doing, I'm using replace function. Here I'm changing only microsecond. So I'm not touching other. So here, if you see here we have only date, and in time, we don't have microsecond here. We have only hour, minute, second. So we don't have microsecond here. So if I do dt dot replace with microsecond this value, see here microsecond is added. Okay. So next, normalizing date time for consistency. So here I have datetime object. So now I have with uh, hour, minute, second, and millisecond. And so here what I'm doing, I'm replacing microsecond to 0. So this is our microsecond value. So I'm changing to 0. So initially I have this one, this much microsecond. Since I mentioned 0, see here dot 0 it not showing, but it changed to 0, 0 microseconds. So next what I'm doing, I'm changing time, hour, minute, second, and microsecond. So my on datetime object is same with microsecond. So here I'm using dt replace, and inside that I'm providing all hour, minute, second, and microsecond. So what is my initial hour? That is 14, 14, 30, 45. So this 14, 30, 45 is replaced with 9, 15, 0. So 9, 15, 0. And this microsecond 50 or 5 lakh is a that I changed to 0. Okay. So since it is 0, no, it giving only 3. So hour, minute, second. So next what we'll do, so resetting time to midnight. So I have this particular date time. So here I have only hour, minute, second. So I'm using replace and I'm pausing all the parameters as 0. So what I'll get is, see, all zeros. So that means it is midnight. Next, what I'm doing, combining date and time replacements. So here I have datetime object manually created. So here I have hour, minute, second. So what I'm doing, I'm replacing date, time, and adding time zone information. So this is my, I'm replacing year, I'm changing 22 to 24, and month 5 to 1, and day 15 to 1, and hour 12 to 0, and 30 minutes to 0 minute, 0 seconds, and here also 0 seconds. And additionally, I'm passing TZ info equal to time zone UTC. That means here I'm adding UTC time zone. See, my initial object is without time zone. See here, this is without time zone. We have only date and time. And here I am replacing by using replace. I'm changing both time. That means, so not only date, even date and time also. See here, I passed both date and time parameters, and additionally I added time zone, that is UTC time zone. So by using replace, you can do entire thing, all the datetime values and additionally time zone also. So here, what replace method creates is it creating new datetime object. After doing replace, it creating new datetime object with the specified fields replaced by using these specified values. And what it doing, it does not modify the original object. Okay. So next, what we'll do, changing time zone. So first one is removing time zone information. So that means I have one datetime object. So in this, I mentioned UTC time zone, and I am removing time zone. So that means removing time zone means I'm using replace, and this TZ info I am mentioning as none. So that means it will replace existing time zone, that is this UTC time zone. Since I am passing none, so it won't print uh, time zone information. That means it removes time zone information. Next, setting a different time zone without converting time. So we have one datetime object. So initially we don't have time zone information here. So on top of that, what I'm doing is, so here I'm adding 5 hours. So UTC minus 5, I'm adding by using time zone. I'm using time delta function, and inside that I'm passing minus 5 hours. Okay, so next what I'm doing, this variable I'm passing here for tz info. So that means dt dot replace. That means this date time object I am replacing with this time zone information. That means time delta of minus 5 hours. So if you see here, this is my initial time zone, and later I'm adding UTC time zone, not UTC time zone. I'm adding minusing 5 hours. So that means assigning EST UTC minus 5 hours. See here, minus 5 hours. So here, if I try to print time zone name also, dot tz name, if I try to rerun this, it will give you time zone name also here. See here, UTC minus 5. Next, setting a time zone. So that means you can add time zone information to naive time object, datetime object. That means one without time zone information. So that means if you see here, this is our datetime object. So here we are passing only date and time. And here we are not passing any time zone information. So this is called a naive datetime object. That means without time zone information. So next what I'm doing on top of this, I am doing replace and tz info equal to time zone dot UTC. So that means I am replacing to this datetime object, I am adding UTC time zone. If you see here, our initial datetime object is this, and why here none is showing is here I did dt dot tz info. That means I want to print what is the time zone name. So since I'm not passed here any time zone info, it printing you none. So after replacing, with what I'm replacing, I'm adding time zone dot UTC. So that means here it adding UTC time zone, that is plus 00. So since I given TZ info, it giving time zone information, that is UTC time zone. Next, what I'm doing, I'm replacing today with zone info. So here, as of now, we saw time zone info equal to time zone dot UTC. So for UTC time zone, we can directly give like this, time zone dot UTC. So if you want to provide other time zones, so then we'll use this library. So zone info. So from zone info, I am importing zone info. So this about zone info, I already made one video uh, with full examples about how to use this zone info module. So if you watch those video, you will get a full idea about this. So it is in my Python playlist. So what is this zone info is? It is a module, and it will connect to database of IATA. That means, so one forum, they're collecting all the time zones of worldwide, and they'll keep in database. So this zone info, it will connect to that database, and it will pull all the time zone information from there. So first what I'm doing, datetime dot today. So that means get current date time without time zone, because I'm not mentioning time zone here. Okay, so without time zone means it will give you local date time. So I'm printing date, and I'm giving d dot tz name. That means time zone name. If you see here today, here it printing only date and time zone name is none, because I'm not provided any time zone info here. Next, what I'm doing for getting current UTC time, we have two other methods. So here I used datetime dot today, So here I'm using datetime.now and datetime.utc. So you can see these values. See, for all the cases, none. Um, time zone type is none because all these three methods I'm not passed any time zone information. So that's why it's giving you none for all three. But if you see this date and time, so each method, it has a little difference of time. Okay, so normally whenever you want to pass time zone, normally we'll use now, datetime dot now. So next what we'll do is we'll use replace method on DT. So DT means this one, UTC datetime dot now. So what is the difference between datetime dot now and datetime dot today is, so whenever you want time zone information, so that time you need to use datetime dot now. So if you want to get only local time, then you can use datetime dot today. So because here time zone information you cannot pass through this today method. So that's why this is DT. I'm using replace. So I'm adding here UTC time zone here. TZ info equal to time zone dot UTC. That means I'm assigning a UTC time zone. If you see here in this uh, datetime dot now, no? So this is our value, initial value. So for this, I'm adding UTC time zone. If you see here, all these values are same and it adding plus 00 and type is UTC. So that is this one, first one. And the second one is I'm doing replace. And here what I'm providing is time zone info. I'm calling this zone info library here and I'm passing this Asia or Tokyo. So that means I want to assign this particular time zone. Okay, so if you see here, Asia or Tokyo, this one, see this value is same up to here. This value is same as it is this one now, and it adding this value. Okay, which one? Tokyo. Tokyo, that is plus 9 hours, and it is time zone is JST. So similar way, I'm passing here US Central. So I'm assigning this particular time zone. And similar way, America and Chicago. So if you see, this is Tokyo, and this is second one is US Central, CDT, and one more is America, Chicago. So that also CDT, and if you see time zone minus 5 hours. Okay, so like this, you can alter the time zones. So if you watch my previous video, zone info, I made one separate video on zone info. So there you will get zone info, how many time zones are available. So there I explained clearly how to call those under. So next here, by replace method, it attaches a time zone and it does not convert the time. So that means if you see here, our now method is there now. So if you are adding any time zone to this one, so this it won't change. Either date or time, it won't change. It only attaches time zone. Only this one it will do. So that is the benefit of replace method. So next, replacing current and date time. So I'm calling these functions my dt equal to dt dot now. That is my current time without time zone information. That's why none is there. So here I'm using replace and I'm pausing UTC time zone here. So what this replace will do is this does not convert time. It only sets the time zone. So that means if you see here 5:31:41, see here also same. And only what it doing is it adding time zone, UTC time zone. That is plus 00 and time zone is UTC. That means the time is not changing. So that is the purpose of replace. And on top of that, what I'm doing is I'm changing this time to this format: year, month, date, hour, minute, second. See here, year, month, date, and hour, minute, second. So I am not considering these microseconds and time zone. So next, what I'm doing, I'm replacing custom datetime. So as of now, we saw datetime dot now. So now we are going to see by using naive datetime. So that means without a time zone and manual constructed datetime object. So here I given date and time. And if you see here, this is my date and my time zone is none. So because I'm not passed any time zone here. Next, by using replace method, I am passing tz info equal to time zone dot UTC. That means I'm adding UTC time zone. So again here, replace what it's doing is this does not converting time. It only setting the time zone. If you see here, 12:30:45, 12:30:45. So date and time is same. There is no change. Only change is adding time zone, UTC time zone. So similar way, replace tz info equal to zone info and America Chicago. So here also same, it not changing the time, it only setting the time zone. See here, up to here it is same, it only adding time zone value and time zone name. And if you observe here, tz info equal to time zone dot UTC. So for UTC time zone, we can directly give time zone dot UTC. So if, other than UTC time zone, you had to call it from like this. You had to define like this zone info and insert that particular time zone. Okay, so this is America, Chicago. Hmm, uh, time zone. So -5 and CDT and remaining this date and time is same. There is no change. Next, handling time zones with user input. So here, as of now, we saw one is manual constructed date time and here automatic date time. So now here what I'm doing, I am passing the date and time in the form of a string. This is my string datetime, and I created one variable here. So here first what I'm doing, I'm converting this, I'm converting string to datetime first. So for that what I'm doing, datetime dot strp time. So p strp means this p will use from converting from string to datetime. So I'm passing this string here and I want in this format. So year, month, date, hour, minute, second. Okay, so after creating this, so stop that, I will print here only. So what is my first DT values after formatting? This one, date, date and time. So 12:45. So because I formatted this one in this format I want. So next on top of that, I'm using replace. I'm using zone info and I want to convert into Asia Kolkata time zone format. So after converting this, since I used to replace until this, it is changed same. There is no change. Additionally, it adding plus 5:30. So that means Asia Kolkata time is plus 5 hours 30 minutes. So here I'm trying to print time zone name also. Similar way, I will try to print here also. If I try to run one more time, yeah, see here for Asia Kolkata plus 5:30 hours plus 5:30 hours, and that is IST. time zone name is IST. So here I'm using, see here, there is two functions. One is replace. Replace, what it doing? It not altering any date time value. It only adding time zone value. So here this method is as time zone. So as time zone, I'm using inside that zone info, I'm using UTC time zone. So what it does is I'm using on top of DT, no? DT means on top of this value. For this value, I'm adding UTC time zone. That means see here plus 00 and the time zone name is UTC. But normally what as time zone is, it will alter the time also. Okay, so here it not showing, it's showing same time. Maybe if you use a different time zone here, it will alter this time. So that is the difference between replace and as time zone function. So next what we'll do, I created one naive date time object, so manual construction. So here if I print that, that is this one. My time zone is none because I'm not passing any time zone here. Next, what I'm doing, I am defining manual time. I'm adjusting manually. That is time delta hours minus 5. That means minus 5 hours I'm doing. So I want to get UTC minus 5. If I see that, see UTC minus 5 hours. Okay, so this one, this particular minus 5 hours, where I'm doing is this particular time zone object, I am doing replace. So first I'm trying with replace tz info equal to none. So that means for this object, since I'm passing tz equal to none, time zone info equal to none, so it not adding any time zone. So that's why it giving none type. So in second time, what I'm doing for this particular datetime object, I'm replacing and tz info equal to eastern. So eastern means this minus 5 hours are given. So this one I'm passing here. And if you see this one, eastern. So what is doing? Minus 5 hours. And that time zone type is UTC minus 5 hours. So this is manual method. So, but normally this is not suggestible. So instead of that, you can directly mention UTC time zone. So like this. So for our datetime object, I'm doing replace and my tz info equal to time zone dot UTC. So now what are you doing? See here plus 00 and UTC. Okay, so after converting this one I'm formatting the value in this format. So month, year, date, hour, minute, second. So initially what we are getting hour, minute, second, and we are getting time zone. So how I'm formatting is I don't want time zone. I want only these values, date and year, hour, minute, second. So after formatting, we are getting only date and time. Okay, so that's all about this video, how to perform replace option on datetime object. So that's all about this video. If you really like this video, please like and subscribe. Thank you.